Hi, my name is Beth MacDonald Stone, and I'm an avid knitter and knitwear designer coming to you from Bermuda. It's gotten quite chilly, which is lovely. It's very seasonal weather, beautiful clear skies. Temperatures are a bit cool. It's really lovely. Winter in Bermuda is amazing, I think. It's the perfect sort of chilly and festive and cozy and not too chilly, which I'm not a huge fan of the huge and chilly. Anyways, so coming to you from Bermuda, wearing a sweater. It's cooled off. Thank goodness for that. It's been a productive couple weeks. I'm knitting a lot these days. Well, I'm always knitting a lot, but I feel like right now, because we're in the middle of Advent season, there's that sort of regular work that I'm doing because one of my designs is an Advent design that I'm actually knitting in the yarn that I couldn't knit with before it was produced. So I'm excited with that, and I'll tell you all about that. And I've got some finished objects, finished design, another project that I thought was finished but decided to change or modify to, and and some the Advent socks and some other fun things to talk to you about. So definitely heavy on the knitting. And then I'll follow it up with my husband and I went for a lovely drive last night to look at the Christmas lights in town being the city here called Hamilton. And I'll finish with some videos of the drive-in on Harbor Road, which is really spectacular. So you see the water, the harbor, and Hamilton in the distance with all the pretty lights. And then we'll do a little tour through Hamilton too. So that's what's in the cards for today. So I hope you have some knitting, crocheting, something to keep you busy, a nice cup of hot coffee, tea, cocoa, wine, whatever. You enjoy it, whatever works for you. So we'll get right into it. What I've finished, and I finished this, and I am in love with this. Sorry, I'm pulling this sleeve out that you can't see. So this is, I have not, called the Bermudiana, and I have not been one to gravitate to drop shoulder sweaters. I'll be honest. It took me a while, and now I am definitely there for it. And actually, this construction really fits the bill for my aesthetic, what I'm really striving, or not what I'm really yearning for, or what I really feel like wearing right now. Just big, boxy, oversized. And I really could never get the big, boxy, oversized feel that I wanted from a circular yoke. And historically, I've always preferred knitting circular yokes, but I was pretty aware that I never could get this really cozy, boxy, kind of Scandinavian look. I mean, it's classic. I mean, it was very 1980s, but without the 1980s look to it too. Just trying to get that feel. And I'm really excited about it. The one that sort of started me on this process was a top that I've got in test knitting right now called Get Out of the Pool Tee. And from that is where I've decided that came up with this design. I was playing around with the stitch motif pattern and really thought that this would be perfect on that kind of construction. And I've got another idea that I'm itching to cast on, but I need to finish some things. Gosh, that's always so hard because you just can't knit fast enough. So not that it's a speed thing, it's just excitement for, the new design or whatever. So this one I did kind of in a strange construction method just because I wasn't really sure where exactly I was going and what dimensions or lengths I wanted. So I did actually start, and I just cast on here with the main color, which is this sort of lighter blue. And I worked up in the round, all the way up to here, actually. In the round all the way up to the tip of the neck. And I'll explain that in a second. And then afterwards I went back and put on the hem. In the pattern, it'll be start at the hem and work your way up because by then I've figured out dimensions and stuff like that. But you always can. And I just literally, it wasn't a provisional cast on, I just literally cast on and then I picked up stitches. So again, if you really want control with a bottom up sweater, this is a great way of doing it where you just cast on with a nice stretchy cast on, which I always use, German twisted. It's my favorite. I know there's a lot of other great ones that people are raving about, and I've written them down and I've got them on my to-do list to explore, but I do just really love the German twisted. So I just did German twisted cast on. I knit, I think, 4 rows and then started the color work. and then came back. And it's super easy because, of course, on a horizontal line, you're picking up one stitch to one stitch rather than vertical. You've got to adjust for the row gauge, which we talked about a few episodes ago. So if that's interesting to you, of why you would do sort of 3 out of 4, or some people do 3 out of 5 and then 4 out of 5 and they alternate that. But it's just because your row gauge is more compressed than your stitch gauge. But when you're going horizontally and it's matching stitch for stitch, it's literally just, and stitches are so plump and they've got that little V, so you just go into the center of it and pick up a stitch. I mean, it couldn't be easier. So don't ever be, worried about doing that. And it's a great way of having control of a bottom up sweater. So yeah, so this is knit in the round from the bottom up right to the bind off here. And they are steeked armholes. So you just knit in the round, you cast on a few stitches for your armhole, for your steek, continue in the round, then you cast off those stitches for the steek, and then continue in the round. And then I just did a lot of very quick decreases. So you're decreasing 4 stitches on every round up here to get to the right sort of dimension for around your neck. And then I think I did 6 inches of a neckline, which, can be folded over like this. I think that's really great. Can be raised up. I think that looks really cool too. And I am a turtleneck lover, always have been. I think it's a really nice way of finishing an outfit when you're just wearing like an undershirt underneath it, which is why I've added a turtleneck here, but we'll talk about later. And also it's really cold. You've got this, and then when it's not too cold, you can fold it down. One could tack it down if you don't want to mess with it. That's a great look too. And then it won't sort of ride up and stuff like that. So yeah, so this is a really easy construction. I'm really excited about it. And like I said, I've got yarn pulled for another one that's just going to be plain, but I just can't get enough of this sort of boxy, simple fit, oversized. I think this is oversized for me. So this has got, I think, 7 inches of positive ease, which I love. And it's colorwork. So in the colorwork, it's basically divided into 2. I showed you the floats before, but I think they're so pretty. Isn't that just so pretty? There you go. So for the white colorwork, which is the stem and the leaves of the Bermudiana flower, or my interpretation of, I just do stranded colorwork, and I suggest on the chart, and you don't have to use it if you don't want to, but where to catch your floats for the white portion so that it's completely invisible. Basically, you want to catch your float on top of or nearby another white stitch so that it doesn't stand out on its own. And then when it comes to the actual flower section, and I can probably just bring the top bit closer, I am suggesting that you in the middle here do a ladder back jacquard. And again, I'm showing you in the pattern suggested where you would put that, and also in the pattern a link to a really simplified method of how to do this ladder back jacquard. And I am such a convert. I can't tell you. It's going to come up again in 2 other projects. Ladder back jacquard is just fantastic. It also still allows some flexibility because you've got an extra stitch behind it. I mean, that has a bit less. Sorry, I can't line up my hands. This still has flexibility, but the blue stitches have more. And that's a really interesting thing that I want to play around with some more, because there is always a problem with stranded color work. And I made this mistake so often when I was doing, when a few years, it's all a process, right? So you sort of learn as you go. So when I was really into standard color work a couple of years ago, I was just mad for it. I loved all the motifs and stuff like that. But if you didn't get a nice gauge, or if your stranded color work was tighter than your stockinette, which of course we know all now we can go up a needle size, but back then I didn't sort of realize that, and I didn't have any realization that it was a bit bigger. So that was always a bummer. And with stranded color work, if it was smaller than I wanted, it could potentially be, especially a couple of years ago when I was doing more fitted outfits, it could be sort of restrictive and just not nice because there's no give in stranded color work. But now that with this ladder back jacquard, there is so much sort of, I should say, lateral give, lateral elasticity, far more than in traditional standard. So that is really interesting. And I'll show you that with the socks that I'm working on for a little bit later. But anyways, so that's really interesting. Again, not to be overwhelmed. all very easy, all very doable. I tried ladder back jacquard earlier on in my knitting career, and the tutorials that I'd been sent to had really overcomplicated it, and it just sort of didn't make sense. Then I sort of thought it through, thinking, what am I trying to achieve here? And that's always a big thing, rather than getting hung up in the little details and just sort of trying to figure out what is the method to get to what I want, the goal. And then I found, a really simple, which I've linked below, explanation, and it was like, of course, basically with ladder back jacquard, you're casting on another stitch that's going to be just like your float. It's hard to see because it's quite dark and it's quite sort of, so this is a ladder back jacquard line here, and it's not that long, so you won't be able to really see that. You can pull it off the face of the fabric. But from the back of an existing stitch, you, through the backside purl bump, pick up another stitch, do a little twisted so it's like in the back loop, and work that as a float. And basically the way I think about it is you come up to that stitch and you put your main color, your light blue, bring it forward, so you like open the window, and then you knit the ladder back jacquard with the dark blue stitch that's obviously going right here, and then you close the window. So with the main color, so basically the main color is sort of like going to just cover that, and it's just going to cover that on top of each row of that secondary stitch. And then when you get to the top and you don't need it anymore, then you just knit them together. And then because you knit them together with the secondary stitch behind the first stitch, the window closes permanently. It's amazing. It's super simple. So don't be worried about it, but it's been such a game changer for me, and I just can't wait to play with it and everything. So so this is a Bermudiana. I've sent it to the tech editor. I have a funny feeling, it's such a busy time of year. I haven't heard back from her. I'm sure she's on vacation. No big deal. This is not urgent. And so once it's back from the tech editor, then I'll get it tested and have it published whenever in the new year. But and Bermudiana is the national flower of Bermuda. Is there anything else I wanted to talk about this? Steeks, very simple. I used a toothy yarn. I do a reinforced steek with a sewing machine. It's what I'm comfortable with, although I do kind of have a love-hate relationship with my sewing machine. I just haven't had enough. I've not spent enough time with it, so haven't become friends, but it's fine. And then I literally just picked up stitches as you would right beside, the last stitch column. Again, I think I give you the 3 out of every 4 stitches. It's great. It's easy. It's a really easy pattern. I think it's probably one of the more classic sort of designs or construction styles ever. And I'm in love with it, and I love the fit, and this is what I really just want to wear all the time. So I hope you love it too. So the Bermudiana, coming hopefully February, March. We'll see. So stay tuned. Oh, and I didn't say the yarn, but the yarn is just sort of a mixture of lovely fingering weight yarn. A friend of mine who I talk about all the time, hi Priscilla, she went to Fano Yarn Festival in Denmark a year ago, September, I think, or last September. Time is flying. Anyways, it was apparently fantastic, and she sent me from there this light blue yarn, which is from G-uld.dk, so G-uld.dk. So it's lovely, and they're all naturally dyed. So this is I don't even think it has a name for the color, but so there was like a whole stand of different shades of sort of green and blue, and she chose this one, so I thought it was fantastic. For the darker blue, it's a Rauma Finullgarn that I've held also with Bien Aimee Mohair. Now, you totally don't need to hold this one with a mohair. This was, like I said before, just literally just shift the color to make it darker, to stand out more contrast from the background color. So that was just for a color shift, and it really did nothing for the gauge. And then the white is Finullgarn as well, Rauma Finullgarn PT2, I think what they combined the two. Anyways, so really just very classic standard sort of fingering weight, sport weight yarns. They bloomed beautifully. Love it. So good. Anyways, I hope you do too. So what am I working on? The holly sweater. I thought I had finished it. as you can see, that was the original finished collar. There's like a little line there. And I put it on and I loved it. And I thought it was really pretty, but with it, I would be compelled to wear it with a collared shirt. And I love collared shirts, but I'm really craving just like undershirts and like a sweater, especially Christmas Day, because it can be all sorts of temperature. And in the living room here, we always have breakfast at the dining table here, the formal dining table. And my husband always likes to have a fire going on. And it can be a day like today, which is nice and cool and crisp, but it's still like 60 something degrees. So it can, with all the people and the fire, it can get kind of hot. We still also have all the doors and windows open, but you know, it's creating an atmosphere, and that's what we do. So I know that also running around and cooking and stuff, I can get really hot. So I wanted a short sleeve, but I also didn't really feel like wearing all the layers of like a collared shirt and stuff like that. And so my idea is I've just knit, I think here it's 5 inches, and I've got to do 1 more inch, and then I'm going to fold it down so it'll hopefully sit away from my neck a little bit, but it'll be just be sort of a folded neckline, so in my mind it looks finished, and I don't need to wear anything else around my neck because that's doing all the work for me. And then I can just put on like an undershirt or a long, short or long sleeve undershirt underneath it, depending on the day. So that's that. So I'm really excited with that. I'm hoping to cast that off, the turtleneck here, tonight. I don't think it'll take long. And I find round and around simple stitches just really therapeutic. So it's really fun. I did that last night. Otherwise, so this is the holly sweater. The designer is Pernille Lawson, and she is, I believe, the mother of the duo from Knitting for Olive. Really talented designer. All of her designs are so beautiful, and she's got a great aesthetic. In her design, the sweater is knitted with a fingering weight yarn, and I saw a friend who did it, I think at a slightly heavier gauge, and it was just so lovely and fluffy and pretty. Hi, Irina. And it was really inspiring, and so I just thought it would be really nice. Another person who really inspires me, aside from my knitting friends, Irina, who is still in Bermuda, and we knit together occasionally, is another person on Instagram. I'm sure you all know Margot Chien. I think she's out near Bainbridge Island and does a lot of knitting for the Lamb and Kid. But I love how she takes a yoke sweater and plays with gauge, and the yoke can be really even more dramatic and fun, and her use of color is amazing. So it's just exciting. So between the two friends, or I don't know Margot, but I'd love to be her friend. She's got great taste. And my friend Irina, I just thought, let's do this on sort of like a more of a bulkier weight or an Aran weight gauge and see how it works out. And I also wanted to use stash yarn. So because it sort of was something that hit me where I need to work on it right away to have it for Christmas. So I had this Holst Garn Cielo, which is a lovely fluffy, and I'm sure it's Aran weight yarn. It's got an alpaca mix and something else in it. It's very springy, as you can see. So you can really pull it, and so you have to be careful, and which would adjust the gauge. Where I've learned knitting with it, you really have to hold it gently so that you're not, stretching it. So I love this Holst Garn Cielo, light as a feather, very sort of juicy stitches. Really, really lovely. I'm really excited about that. I'm curious how it's going to wear too. And with that, I had some leftover Drops Air in a really lovely green color, and I don't have the ball bind anymore, so I don't really know what the green color is, but there's like low lights of sort of warm tones like orange or something in it, which is really great. And then for the berries, I just held 3 strands of really toothy yarn, shades of pinky reds here for the berries. I haven't blocked it. I did steam block it because it was really puckered. And I did also use the ladder back jacquard here because there's quite, in the berry section, there's quite a span between them. And so the ladder back jacquard really helped. That said, because the Drops Air and the Cielo are so elastic that I still think it was a bit tricky to hold the tension right, where the berry yarn being a very toothy, I think one was Tuku wool and another was a Shetland, and so you can imagine there's no stretch on it. They're very stable yarns. So that might have created some rippling. I did do a steam block up here, and I think it really helped. And so when I'm totally finished, I might either do another steam block or I do a whole wet block. But what I'm a bit worried about a whole solid wet block and everything like that is that I don't know what this yellow is going to do. Will it lose its shape? If anyone has any experience with the Holst Garn Cielo, would you wet block it or would you just stick with steam blocking? Because of the alpaca, I just don't want it to kind of go, ooh, because I do quite like this sort of crisp look of it. The steam blocking did a great job, and I think if I had it on a hang. No, I didn't even have it. I just had it folded. So of course it didn't do anything at the shoulders. So if I did a steam blocking, I did it on this mannequin, I think I could really steam block it that way, easy. Anyways, if anyone has any opinions or experience or whatever with the Holst Garn Cielo, sorry, I was confusing myself, please let me know, because that's what I'll be up to shortly. But yeah, I'm really excited to wear it. I have a skirt that I want to wear it with, and I think it's gonna be the perfect Christmas sweater. And because of this line here, I will fold this down in front. I might sort of tack it down in two places here because of course I don't want it to slip above the line, but again, all will become very obvious when I bind it off and see how it sits and plays, where I'm very satisfied how this just kind of sits like this. If it does something similar to this, then I'm happy. I don't need to do anything additionally, but we'll see. So yeah, so that's the Holly sweater by Pernille Lawson. Really a great pattern. I recommend it to anyone. Oh, and so because of this, I knit the body on like US 10.5s. So it's a significant jump. And I knit the smallest size, and I think it's going to have like a 44 inch bust. So it's still a little oversized, like I like it. I did shorten, like when she would talk about increases and then knit X many rows between increases, of course I would shorten that just so that the yoke wasn't getting too deep, and it's a perfect fit that way. I simplified the short rows, but I would actually suggest people keep to the 3 short rows in the back just to make sure. I could have used one more, which is also a determining factor of putting on a turtleneck. And I did omit the short rows under the arms. I find that adds bulk. And so instead I added short rows at the hem just because I do like, not that you can really see, I do like a slightly high low hem, very slightly. It's more just, I think it's because I'm a bit, well, I know I'm rather hunched. And so I think the short rows in the back, or to make the back longer, while you can do a lot, and I have done that to exaggerate the back length, and I love that look. Sometimes it's nice just to do a few just to sort of balance it out if you have a curved back, which I have as you can see, I need to sit up straight. I just don't. I really need to. And it looks so much better. Anyway, so that's that. So what's next? So let's talk about Advent knitting. Actually, you know what? Let's hold off on that. Let's talk about one more item that I'm using, the ladder back jacquard. And this is my most recent cast on. And this is Summer Lee's Color Cuff Club. And this is with the December cuff. So I'm really excited about it. I do like to I don't love knitting with a lot of colors, especially I love it for a yoke, but for a sock, I find it really fiddly. So I decided to go through an old stash, and I kind of thought that this one that I used this summer from TreLiz and other Summer Lee sock clubs was perfect because there's little bits of lovely color in it. So it kind of, whether it's snow or just like a blue sky. And then I had this little scrap from I have no idea where, and that does the trees. And then I had one full skein from the Cozy Knitter Advent sock kit from 2021. Because when I knit it in 2021, and it was fantastic, and it's in my drawer upstairs, I knit, there are 2 times 24 colors, so you can go through the Advent twice, so for 2 socks in one skein. Amazing. And so when I did that, I had a full complete other skein, which was waiting for a project. So I wound these off, and so they're exactly like, you can see exactly where it starts again. Cut it there, And I'm just going to use this for the rest of the foot. So I'm finishing after this kind of mauvey purpley color. And then I think I'm going to do the heel in this turquoise. But I'm kind of on the fence of that because part of me is just like, don't overcomplicate it and just keep on going. And you could have like a bullseye heel and then your foot. And I'm sure I'd have enough yarn and that would use up this yarn better. So stay tuned for that. Now back to the ladder back to card. With these trees, again, there's at the top of the tree and at the very bottom of the tree, there's quite a distance to pass. And I don't love long floats because, again, it prevents the lateral elasticity of a piece. So I did go up to the needle size as recommended, and I did ladder back to card between the trees, and it's fantastic. Let's see, can you see it here? Yeah. You can see the little ladder backs here and here. And that was really great. I loved it. One learning lesson, though, also is because I'm doing that and you're increasing the elasticity laterally, horizontally, I probably don't even need to go up that big of a needle size. So I won't do it on the other sock. I'll do the exact same, but maybe in a future Summerly Colorwork Cuff Club, I would try, instead of going from a size 1 needle to a size 2 needle, so that's going from a 2.25 to 2.75 millimeter needle, maybe next time I would try, if I were to use ladder back to card, I would go from a 2.25 to a 2.5 just for the color work. So there's a little bit of an acknowledgement that yes, this could be tighter, but at the same time, knowing that you're balancing that elasticity a bit with the ladder back to card technique. Anyways, it's all learning lessons, isn't it? I mean, that's the great thing is you just keep on seeing opportunities and learning new techniques, and this is what really gets me excited. So that's really good. I'm really excited about that. I'm glad to be able to use up that the Cozy Knitter Advent because it's so special. I love her Advent skeins, and that just, I think this is a really special project to use it up with. So that's really fun. So that's in a bag that I was given. That's really pretty. I love it. It's my favorite sock bag. It's called from a company called Kuro Neko. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. So if you are interested, I believe they're, made in Madrid. Handmade in Madrid. Love this bag. Beautiful fabrics. There you go. So that kind of leads me now more officially into the Advent knitting. And I have so much fun with Advent knitting. In fact, I've done a design for Advent knitting. I've done designs before that are sort of Advent knitting adjacent, for sort of the minis. Like the one that always comes to my mind is the color plate pullover. It's perfect for Advent knitting, just using up your minis and just having fun with color and stuff like that. It's the perfect pattern for that. But I'd like to get more sort of specific with Advent knitting designs because I think it's so much fun. And it doesn't even need to be like 24 mini skeins, that you've bought at Christmas. Like it's also just great for scraps and stuff like that. And I am not great at using up scraps, but I really want to because to me that's all about playing with color and texture and stuff like that, which I'm really interested in. So I did my first official Advent design in collaboration with a yarn dyeing company that I love. So the yarn dyeing company that I love and really admire their color choices is Sprinkled Fibers. Hi, Lindsay and Marcy and Sister Lily. So I, watch their podcast and watch and I'm watching every day of their Advent as I'm knitting my version. And I do have this on too short of a needle, so it's going to be a triangle shawl. So that's sort of the first, that's like half. The other half is over here. And it's got this snowflake pattern on it. It's called the Sprinkled Snowflake Shawl. And basically you fade your Advents. And today that I'm recording is December 10th. So this is including all the way up to December 10th. I'm really excited about it. And I'm just so enjoying knitting this with her yarn and trying to keep up. It's fun. I like a good challenge. I did knit this before. And when this is done and in the new year, I'll show you the other one that I knit that I was using more solid yarns. I think I alluded to it in the spring. And so it's more of like a two-tone shawl, and that's totally doable, and it looks great with this pattern. But this is with sprinkled fibers, so the intended, and I think it's really spectacular. So I'll show you more about this probably in the next video and once Advent's done. So maybe not the next video. I'm not sure if I'm going to have one more before the new year. Anyways, it'll be the first one in the new year. So I'll show you what this final thing looks like. It's really hard to... I need to put on a bigger needle, but yeah, that's half. I'm really excited with this. The design did only go to those who had purchased the Sprinkled Fibers Advent Kit, which is gorgeous, which is what I'm using. And so those people have the pattern for this Advent season, and then in the beginning of January, it's mine to publish. And so if you have ordered Advent skeins and you're not rushing to do them right now because it is such a crazy time of year and whatever, just know that this pattern will be there for you in the beginning of January, and I hope you love it. And I'll show it to you more then when I can show you both, and I'm more finished of this one. So that's that. So that's Sprinkled Snowflake Shawl is a collaboration with Sprinkled Fibers. And yeah, if you don't know Sprinkled Fibers, do check them out. They've got a great podcast. Lindsay is young, starting her career, I think finishing school, starting her career, professional life, and also having a professional career as modeling, which is really fun, living in California, so you get to see a lot of the California culture and beaches and stuff like that. And I think she's just got a really special eye for color, and color that I don't naturally sort of gravitate to. So it's really fun to work with someone who I can be pushed and challenged, it's good fun. I'm really enjoying that. So yay. And then the final thing that I'm working on is the heel toe do-si-do. I totally forgot. I've got my notes down below, which all my notes that I'm reading off of with information will be the notes for you in the description below. So all that's there for colors, names, all that. So please take a look down in the description for all that information. So I'm going to show you my Woolens Nosh Advent. This is up to day 10. So today is December 10th. So it is up to day 10. So if you are behind and you want to keep the secret, I should have said that for the Sprinkled Fibers too. Sorry. But I think officially, because it is day 10, it's not a surprise. That's what I'm going to go with. Anyways, so I'm using Michelle's gorgeous yarn, and I am using it. I always have fun playing with other people's patterns because I do like going around and around and around in a circle, but sometimes, especially when you're only doing bite size each day, it's fun to have a little pattern. And I've been watching or had my eye on the heel toe do-si-do pattern by the Crazy Sock Lady for quite a while. And Michelle of Woolens Nosh also put out a video just to talk about, this skein, color, this skein that has 24 colors in it separated by the black. And she also linked to a fantastic selection of applicable patterns for this. So she linked to like a Ravelry bundle, and the do-si-do, heel toe do-si-do was in that, and I thought, that's a sign. Let's do it. So it's a really fun pattern. It took me a little bit to figure out it really helps me understand the pattern it really helps me do a pattern when I can understand what the stitches are doing to the actual sock or the fabric. And it took me a few rounds to sort of figure out how it's shaping them. I mean, it's kind of like old shale pattern here, sort of in the traditional sort of Shetland haps, but you're only doing it on one side, and then you've got like the back as a rest. Michelle did give an advance warning that the distance between the colors of the black or the neutral in between is longer than it has been in the past, so that's cool. I think from that I figured out mathematically how many stripes I need for the foot. I've guessed at how many stripes I need for the toe and the heel. I think I thought 3 for that completely. The foot, I think I need 8 stripes. And so the theory then is after tomorrow on December 11th, December 12th, I'll start the heel, and I'll do the heel flap and gusset because that definitely fits me the best. But I think it's a really fun pattern. I don't think you need stock like striping yarn to do it. I think it'd be great in a solid. I think it'd be great in speckled too. But so the pattern is great, beautifully worded, crazy sock lady. She knows how to knit a sock, that's for sure. And Michelle from Woolens Nosh, her yarn is always spectacular. So I have in the past bought from Michelle from Woolens Nosh and also the Cozy Knitter, and I look forward to using at least one of them, and maybe even treating myself twice next year. It just depends what's on my on the docket, but it's just so much fun. And it is amazing that by just doing these rounds, and I guess this is more 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rounds on 2 socks a day. So I've got both going, so I'm working on them concurrently. You can really, like, you bang out a sock pretty fast. And that's great because this and for me is early morning coffee, kind of waking up, still a little groggy, you know, frog still in the throat, can't really hold a conversation. So I sit and knit my 2 stripes and then start my day, and it's a great way of doing it. And I kind of have historically treated the Colorwork Cuff Club the same way. So anyways, it's all good. So recommend this for I recommend her sock yarn for any socks. I picked up some through the year, which I think you saw around Halloween. I had a really fun one from her too. So love her yarn. So that's kind of everything that I've been knitting on. I feel like I'm really, really trying to, I've got like deadlines for each day. You'll notice I haven't shown you back the plaid raglan sweater. I haven't put any work on that because I really was focused on finishing up the writing, because like I said, I get myself confused, and I really am better off if I just focus on one design at a time. Once I get this done, now this is done, and once I get this done, I'm excited to go back to, that checkered sort of raglan, and I'll, push through to have that completed shortly and the pattern written up to go to the tech editor in the new year. So that's sort of the idea there. So still on course, but there's only so much time in the day, and knitting is lovely, but knitting is a slow process. And so, sometimes I bite off a bit more than I can chew. In fact, some friends asked if I wanted to do another mystery knit along for a really fun mitten for around the Advent time. And I was so tempted, but I think I did my first day of like these Advents and trying to keep up with the shawl and the socks and then keep up with the designs. And I just realized like, no, that's just too much. So that looks really cool too. So I can't remember the name of that, but there's just so many fun community focused patterns out there right now, especially around the holidays. So lots to do, lots to keep you busy, lots of community. It's great. So that's pretty much it for me. I'm going to leave you now. Like I said, last night, it was a beautiful night, really calm and still the last few days. Usually in the winter, it gets really windy here. So when it's a really calm, crisp day, it's lovely to do a little sightseeing. So last night, my husband and I drove into Hamilton along Harbour Road. So I took some video of Harbour Road and people coming home on the ferries and that sort of thing. And then Hamilton itself, we did a drive-by of downtown and around the City Hall, which has it's a big building, pretty building, built in the 1960s after there had been a hotel in that lot and it had burned down in the 50s. And they built City Hall in the 60s. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. And there's a gorgeous big Christmas tree in front. So I took some video of that. And then we parked the car and did a little walk and ran into friends. So it was really sort of fun and social on the side of the street on a random Monday night. So that's what I'm going to end with you guys today. I'm not sure if I'll be back again in 2 weeks or whether there might be a bit of a lag. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll see. Otherwise, I hope you have a great December. I hope if you celebrate Christmas, you have a great Christmas or a wonderful Hanukkah. If you're celebrating Hanukkah or anything else in the Northern Hemisphere, of course, it's a good time for being cozy. And I'm all for being cozy. I'm such a homebody, so you don't have to ask me twice to stay at home, put on the fire, and drink a cup of hot coffee or cocoa. Like, that's the best for me. Yeah, so I hope everyone has a great December. If I see you again this month, that's fantastic. Otherwise, just enjoy. Happy knitting. And I'll see you soon. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thank you.